Okay, here we go. I think I finally kind of figured out audio stuff, so that's kind of cool. So we're going to talk about, the way I think is think big and know where your direction is. It's almost like if you focus on the details, there's always altercations and ways to perceive it that can change and skew you off into the completely wrong direction. And that's very easily done with manipulation. So, like I've always felt, like you just kind of find everything old and ancient, all the old stories and religions, and combine them. What's the things that are in common? So, we're going to kind of continue where we left off. Let's do this. So this was a quote in the last presentation from Isaac Newton. To this day, or I will just read this. According to Newton, Christ would return and create a 1,000-year kingdom on earth after the fall of this present era of politically corrupted religion. Very fascinating and truth-provoking quote right there. Which means that what he foresaw was not the end of the world in an absolute sense, but a new beginning, right? The fool and either opening your flower and expanding with knowledge and magical abilities, if you will, or reincarnation. This was to follow the catalyst, that word, period of Armageddon and Gog and Magog. The Facebook groups that I follow for the end times and stuff like that, like these people are completely brainwashed. They promote fear. It's crazy. It's very uncomfortable, and it's like that's the uncomfortable feeling I always got when it came to organized religion that I was exposed to. But anyway, so he goes on to, I sidetracked, the probable connection between the date 2060 and the dates of 2082 and 87 can now be made clearer if one considers that the period of time which the Book of Revelations relates maybe historically quite a short one, for about 20 years. In that case, the end of the age would occur shortly after 2080, given that the beginning of the apocalypse is in 2060. So, methodology of mind control through fear of the unknown is kind of the premise of religions. Organized, exoteric, fear of the unknown aspects of ourselves. The fact that we are connected to divinity and that we need no priest to experience that, we must become our own, and this is their basis of what they don't want you to know. So here's Mark Passio, whatonearthishappening.com. He, at the beginning of his presentation, which I'm mimicking in the beginning, his quote that from Thomas Paine is, "I do not believe in the creed professed by the Jewish church, by the Roman church, by the Greek church, by the Turkish church, by the Protestant church, nor by any church that I know of. My mind, my own mind, is my own church. All national institutions of churches, whether Jewish, Christian, Turkish, appear to me no other than human inventions set up to terrify and enslave mankind and monopolize power and profit." I look at any institution, any name, any political government location, I see surnames. I see surnames of the ancestry work that I've done, and it leads me into so many synchronicities I can't even tell you. So anyways, so religion comes from the Latin word religare, meaning to tie back, to hold back, to bind fast, binding, it does not mean to reconnect. If you look at religion as a deep spiritual religion for oneself, you could use that to really mean to reconnect. But really, if you look at the origins of the word, it is to hold back by tie, tie by binding, binding to tie out of the way. Mainstream institutions, also known as religions. This is a fun word he had mentioned just while I was putting this together on a podcast or whatever, but ostensible, represented or appearing as such, not actually being what appearance indicates, suggesting an appearance to unaided senses not borne out by rigorous examination or greater knowledge, based on deceptive reassemblance or faulty observation, or influenced by emotions that prevent a clear view. Illusion, that word, all right? So binding, it's a magical term of descriptive of a class of spells intended to thwart or hold back the process of an opposing force or practitioner. So this is your religions. This is the exoteric, Sunday going guys stopping you from seeing the esoteric meaning of things. This is not truth. These are all elements and things that you have to get to. But they don't want you looking here, and they definitely don't want you here. This is what they know. These are the clues and the hints and the puzzle pieces. And this is the guard. Exoteric versus esoteric. Don't look here, especially here, right? It's exoteric is to bind you from knowledge and truth. Astrotheology is the main common thread. Planets and stars are the gods worshippers of the sun, moon, and small lights and planets. So we're going to talk about this. This is the kind of area of religion that I feel more connected to, but they all kind of follow the premise. So Horus is the golden falcon, the sun god, the solar disk that rises in the east and flies in the sky in an arc daily. Horizon of Horus. Hori is the possessive of Horus, Horus's zone. He appears west and he falls in the sunset. Okay, his brother. Isis, she is the goddess of the night sky, moon goddess, queen of the heavens. Each day gives birth to God's son. Osiris, the creator god's son. Horus as a child, Isis and Mary and child, Jesus of a virgin. She is the intuitive brain of the midbrain, consciousness and intuition. Conquering the reptile brain, once you've conquered the oldest part of your brain, the controller, and is able to give birth I didn't proofread them, I'm so sorry. The limbic brain to the neocortex, the savior of the world. The divine male child of right action is birthed by a virgin. So you have balanced your left and right, and with that harmony, self-produced a child of right action. From female, the male came. The same but flipped, right? Cloaked with the sky and stars, she is the queen of the heavens, with crescent at foot and Christ child of moral action, a slice of sunrise. The lunar goddess gives rise to the sun. Now, here is a depiction of Osiris, Horus, and Set. Horus touching Osiris's right temple, his dark brother Set is touching the left temple, the idea of consciousness. Horus is the right mind moral action male aspect that came from Mother Isis of feminine emotion, the Holy Spirit balanced with moral action. The duality in him made him godly. Set overtakes the sun god of darkness as the sun sets in the evening. One ignorance, good and bad, the second tree, the good angle and the bad hanging on your shoulder. So basically like the concept of the good and the bad, telling you what to do, on your shoulders. Great representation of really, the allegorical concept of what's going on. So Osiris is, thoughts, Isis is emotion, and Horus and Set actions. So what creates season is the tilt of the earth in relation to the plane that it orbits. The sun, 23.5 degrees south and north for the winter and summer, is 0 degrees, or is winter and summer, and 0 for spring and autumn. Extremes versus center. Precession of the equinox is the background of the stars behind the solar path. The constellations that make up the zodiac make up the solar eclipse path as they slowly precess counterclockwise at the spring equinox. The constellations that is in over a long time shift, a new one will be behind the sun. Approximately 25,000 years, you will arrive at that same location in spring. 3 constellations per season, and old stories tell the sun's progression through the houses in a year by placing the sun at the cross. So here we have kind of the orientation of the movement, and we hit our equinoxes. It's the car that I got too. It's really weird to see this name be so much a part of my life again. Okay. So we're going to start, mid-season. We're going to be starting with the charging bull, gaining strength, rising to the hues he will go. So we're starting here, and we're going to kind of see the cycle of progression. 23.5, the Tropic of Cancer, because we're here at Cancer. About to make our way through. Aries is this fire starter. He kind of like is always rambunctious and ready to go, just like adolescence, right? I'm learning these, so it makes so much more sense, and it's really cool. So we get up to here, and we get to Cancer, the longest day of the year, the hottest. Now it's moving towards the lion with the sun flame mane. Okay, so here's our first dubbing. I hear echoing, so let me take out my headphones. I messed up, so let's go ahead and
if you count
retreat back to where we were
again
at.
from here to here
Then
is
it goes
9
to Virgo to descend
rebirth
in the
from,
season
the
of
frost,
fall. It's
right?
falling
As
at
seeds
this
begin to
point
grow from
below
Aquarius,
the
tending more to the
sunrise.
earth for what to grow
It is the
and
constellation
gain
Crux
grain
and
for
the
hermits
Southern
like
Cross. The sun is on top of
and
the
hold
cross
back
of Crux,
to
and it is
0
about
point
to
instead.
die as he
Back to winter,
crosses
it is said to
Scorpio's
be
venom
the tomb
to a
rise
quick
again 3
descent
days
at the
later
winter
at 0
solstice, the
to
Tropic
rise
of
again
Capricorn.
to be Easter Sunday.
This will become the the shortest
Sunday,
day as
the first Sunday
fall
after
south, the lowest
first
arc,
full moon after
longest
the spring equinox,
dark
as
day,
the lunar goddess is
placed
full
on the
and ready
cross
to
in
give
the
birth
autumn
at this
and
point.
dies
The
3
sun hero
Horuses
with 12
or hours
helpers, who
symbolically
is
at
the
the
light of
lowest
the world,
winter.
miracles,
The sun
sons
visually
of
appears not to
God, of a
move
Virgin
starting
Mother,
December
rises from
22nd
the dead,
with the
is a
same
story
arc
across
until
the board
3
about
days
40 or
later.
more
It begins to
incarnations,
trek
to list a
north,
few.
December
The moral
25th,
lesson
birthday
for
of
the
the sun,
exoteric to
reborn
follow,
as the
masking the deeper
Fool and the Wheel of
allegorical
Fortune.
teachings. These all
Born of a
predate
virgin or as calculated starting at Virgo, counting backwards is
So
9
this
months
is a great
of the
depiction
zodiacs.
of the 4 seasons.
So as the Virgo is planting her
The
new
dark and
seeds
the
to
light,
harvest,
dark, light.
9 months
Jesus is center,
is
at
when
the
you have
doorway
the
of light.
rebirth.
It's the alchemical wedding, blue and red, in the shape of a chalice as well. We've all seen the movie. Come on. Winter and autumn, spring and summer, center stargate, balance center of light, all conflicts around. They're all so active and busy, and his presence is at peace, and represented by the 4 seasons, and Virgo as well, which is a great visual for when you can actually see that picture clearer. I cheated and just moved things straight from my messenger, so the quality isn't as good, but I'll know that for next time. So as ancient civilizations, they would worship the sun, the moon, and the planetary, systems around. So a lot of allegorical things come into play when you consider the 12 houses, the 3 hands, solar and lunar, and planetaries. The sun, moves slower, or it takes longer for us to go around. The minute, moon, and Mercury, the fastest little, kind of sucker to go around. The 7 planets are gods visible to the naked eye. You'll see these Monday, the moon, Lundi. Tuesday, Mardi Gras, Mars. So that looks familiar. I think it was on the Latin cards. I don't know. And these are self-explanatory. Light and right hemispheres of the brain from the back. Center is Ascension Island. Solar Horus rises like the eagle Horus. Set brings the dark. Amen, or Ra, is the highest arc, or Ra, or Ray, rays of light. Western Christianity, sun on the cross, masculine as the back of the brain left. As above, so below. The stars and earth. Creator god Osiris is the center of all stars and Saturn, El. As the outer ruler, Elohim, the symbol of the stars, all the pinpoints of light in the heavens. Elohim, plural, the stars and planets. And we'll get to that.
Isis is the moon goddess that predates the West. Islam, recent moon right is the surrender. So left is the Christian nations, west raging war on the right, Islamic surrender nations to the east. Middle East is the backbone of the back of the brain, that word. In the front is the Pacific Ocean of calm waters versus war and havoc. Back there you'll also find, Hawaii's volcano. You can kind of imagine it like the cerebral neocortex, or the third eye, peaceful, and so Israel, Islam, lunar, Ra, Horus, solar Christianity, and Judaism. The center of the collaboration of ideas and religious to be spread out. So, like that was the center, and things expand from that center point. Playing telephone, basically getting distortions from the roots that they never really began with, being kept from and binded from. Governments of Israel, it's interesting, has influence over the world, though they're not a powerhouse as known, as a known location of the mystery teachings, coming from that location. They have so much say, it seems. God consciousness, the first thing that existed in the universe was sight, not with the eye, but with sight. And sight imagines things so that they become reality. It is in the sixth chakra. The seventh chakra is God. Thus, God is ahead of sight in another dimension, but still in this dimension. The third eye is how we connect. That is why the pyramids exist. The third eye. God looks down in all directions because God was first. This is like programming, but forms a pyramid. And this guy quoted this, and I thought it was deep. I am amused, I said, at your fear of the world, which makes you guard against the appearance of insisting upon useless studies, geometry in particular and mathematics in general. And I quite admit the difficulty of convincing men that in every soul there is an organ which is purified and illuminated by these studies, when by other pursuits lost and dimmed, and this eye of the soul is more precious far than 10,000 bodily ones, for this alone beholds the vision of truth. Gave me goosies. And to commemorate, made it in time. So I can't remember the date. Was this the December 7th? Anyways, there was some interesting things that in the history, like, past dates on that day or whatever. Washington Monument is dedicated in Washington, D.C. My Goff surname came up. And I had mentioned the playing telephone. All right. And then so basically with everything going on, I'm just, my gut, I just know from everything that I've done, all the points lead to the fact that they're trying to weaken our young youth, males, specifically between teenage to mid-20s. They're hindering our female youth for mitochondrial control. They're altering our DNAs. There is a reason for it. You got to do some research and look at my other video that I'll be posting up on stuff that's not being talked about. Increasing evidence suggests that mitochondria from COVID-19 infected cells are highly vulnerable, and vulnerability increases with age. So you'll notice that, like, they'll always target a reason to give an excuse for and blame it on the COVID-19 versus, I won't get tested. Y'all are crazy with what I know. There's no way. who knows what they're giving you. I already know what they've done to my family with their vaccines. So, but again, that's a rant for another day, I suppose. So this is interesting, with all the allegorical lions, cats showing up everywhere in ancient, Egypt. The association between the frequency of cat purrs improves the healing of bones and muscles, may provide help for some humans' bone density and loss, and muscular atrophy. It's a serious concern for astronauts, right, during extended periods of zero gravity. Go ahead and have a quick look at this, but I wonder why cats, and it says that it's the same as big cats, lions, tigers as well. I just find that interesting. Snuggle your cat, and they tell you that they think that they purr mostly for themselves. Trying to take away the love of cats for humans. In this article I read, it was really weird. I don't know. Trying to take away love and magic, I feel, at any subjective cost. So, delving into the Hebrew, Mem and Alf are the two Romanized Hebrew letters, the equivalents of the Latin alphabet M and A, respectively. Mem meaning water, and Alf the beginning, divine, maternity, cosmic birth, natural and female wisdom principles in most of the world's languages. Being numbered 10, it's the Hebrew letter. Being numbered 10, its Hebrew letter is Yod, the hieroglyphic meaning of which is the forefinger extended as a sign of command. The letters are of three types: mothers, doubles, and singles. The mother, Alp's, Mem, and Shin symbolize the three primordial elements of all existing things. It's symbolized for Mem, fire, for which Shin is the most prominent sound, is represented by Shin. Air, the first letter, which is Alf, is designed by Alf. The year also consists of three parts related to these elements. Summer is linked with the element of fire, winter, water, and spring, air. Further, these three mothers represent in the microcosm the human form: the head, the belly, the chest. The head from fire, the belly from water, and the chest from the air that lies in between. I saw again several other things leading to just the connection of fire and water, and I feel like when you push the button down, you're really, to master, you really need the earth and the air to sustain the relationship between fire and water. Without earth and air, fire and water cannot be together very easily or very productively. The three mothers, Alf, Mem, Shin. The product of fire is the heavens, the product of air is air, and the product of water is earth. Fire is above, water is below. See, just like kind of I said, and the air tips the balance between them. From them the Father is generated, and from them everything is created. And then here's just some really things. Go ahead and push pause and just let your imagination roll. I'm knee deep into learning this, so learn with me. So interesting when you find the correlations, though. This is so key, and a whole bunch of stuff I can't wait to learn. And they kept mentioning, we'll get to it. But I mean, doubles, if you put this together, it kind of creates a ladder if you flip it onto itself. I don't know if I put that slide in. So I was playing around with numbers, the E, and this made me think of B and the honeycomb, which is the dodecahedrons, or whatnot, and the whole esoteric connection with bees and beehives, queen bee. I was playing around with something came into my head, I can't remember, but 3 plus 3 is 6, 6 plus 6 is 12,
3 plus 6 is 9. 9 is kind of like the completion. 10 is like the completion and transfer, starting the new. So 9 plus 9 is 18. 1 and 8, you come back to 9. So with strength and magical power, you're just going to continue the cycle. If you push the button down, and also 6 and 9 kind of create the affinity feel. It also creates a heart if you put them together. And then I was noticing when you divide completion, like you divide by 3, it's just an endless decimals of 3s, like reconnecting back to the universe. But if you don't push the button and then you're dealing with your 9s, or if you consider 11, and then it's interesting when you consider 11 divided by 3, you get this 7 sixes. 7 sixes. I find that interesting. Here's just some things to look at. Like, I keep remembering, like, they go from right to left. So here are the 2 that have the het in the middle. So I'm interested in that. Anything to do with the concept of the memshin and alf, I'm interested. So this is interesting because, like, in the Sevra Yetra PDF file on the audiobook I have, this is the only place where that came up, and it's like, this is blatantly, like, looks like a nail, and it's a trip. I was trying to look it up, and this just was randomly, there's no explanation, it's just here amongst all the other information, and it's just, I'm seeing things, especially with that poem I read in the other video. So here's just some things from the book as well, just to kind of consider, think, time, memari, or amem. Really fun connections with notes, because I sang a song to my son as a baby, and today, using the Fredor, so I decided that I wanted to do this with notes, and I'm not ready to do that yet. So I ended up singing it, and because I've seen that, it just fell into place. So Yod He Vad He, Yod He Vad He, light will guide, follow thy heart. Yod He Va, Yod He Va, 33, 369. Nice little tidbit. Oh, my stomach's growling. So just lots of fun things. Oh, the cards I pulled was just very, very cool. So these are Alf, Mem, and Shin. It's interesting too because of the other thing. And then Yod, He, Va. It was interesting, like something called my attention to a location on a map, and it's never, you have to zoom in, because there's, like, you never know what type of little synchronicities you'll get. So I was looking something up, and I zoomed in, and there's usually a tag of the chess piece that is of interest 9 times out of 10. So I clicked on it, and it was like I pulled a tarot card without having to. But it's just like the 8 card, the strength card of the major arcana.
but we have a male figure versus the female figure. I thought that was really cool. Here it is. I found he with the nail. They call it a tag or something, but I don't know. There's a connection telling you the twins, Gemini, something here. There's a fun story about the duck concept. It's come up like 3 or 4 times in this last week, but there's a lot of metaphorical shit going on. If it talks like a duck, it walks like a duck. Stop trying to tell yourself it's not a duck. It's exhausting just to see it as for what it is. I want to create a fun allegorical story from a story I heard from this, but it's a reminder to do so, I suppose. Now, this is highly fascinating right here. Adding he at the end of a noun feminizes it or allows it to be fruitful and reproductive. To split, to produce twins. Sarah, in too many Sarahs. There's some names they used way too obviously much, but now here it is. Since he is a form of Dalit and Yod, it can also be a picture of returning to God by means of transforming power of the spirit. Dalit, which is the fool's location, the whole 22 paths that I am not familiar with. Dalit is the path between Kether, the magician, and the fool card. That is the path. So, and it's also the 4th letter of the alphabet, right? Split it in 2. You have 2 plus 2. That's 4. Dalit is the 4th letter. Stands out for brokenness, and Yod stands for a hand opening the door of the heart. Then is a picture of the Spirit of God indwelling the believer, and this image also coheres with the idea that part of Alf, God, is joined with Dalit to form the He. Push your button, and then let's go back. Damn it, did I already show that picture? Where'd it go? Here, look. It's blurry. Forgive me. But I looked up Dalit because I'm doing one letter at a time. Movement, hang, and enter. Look. It's an upside down hat or a button being pushed down. Hang, movement, enter. Think about the cards up in the top 3 positions of the tree. The Hanged Man. The whole concept of bringing your Malkut down and reincarnating or pushing your button down. It's just great. So, look into this stuff. This was just as I was putting it together. I'm so excited about it. So, feel free to just read through. And, the 10 Commandments are weird. Controlling. It's just not right. It's not done right. I feel like I haven't even looked into it, but I had to go back and look at them. I mean, they're all common sense. It's a natural law, but look how much focus is on the egocentric of only listening to me. That's not right. I can tell you for a fact that's not right. If you want to consider the fact that you look within, and once you've mastered that and you help others, not by force means fear, manipulation. No, if you don't sense that something's wrong, I don't know. So this guy, for the love of Pete, or this person, forgive me, I'm not sure, had a great explanation of the Tree of Life. So there's the website. The Tree of Life is the main symbol of Kabbalah, the religious mystical systems of Judaism. Its essence can only be described in symbolism. It is essentially a map depicting the ongoing events and forces of creation. It it reflects our place in the world and reveals our role and responsibility, accountability. The Tree of Life challenges us with the word Tukan ha olam, meaning repair the world. My sentiments exactly. God created the universe with 10 utterances. The Tree of Life is composed of 10 seraphot, also referred to as vessels or gateways. Hypothetically, there is an 11th sephirot that Kabbalists call hidden, or it used to be the key. It is the tree of knowledge, right? The serpent. Let's make something that's good look bad because we don't want you to look there. Each seraphot encompasses a specific quality, has a corresponding name of God and creation event. There are matching body parts, colors, planets, biblical figures, trees, etc. The left and right sides of the tree corresponds to masculine and feminine. The left is restrictive, the right is expansive. The middle represents a balance. The parallel planes moving up correspond to action, emotion, and intellect. Moving down, emanation, creation, formation, manifestation. There are 22 connecting paths. This is what I'm not connecting with. Running between the seraphot, well, the dot, like that one makes sense. And hopefully I can move on from there. Each of the 22 paths identify with a letter of the Hebrew alphabet, as well as one of the major arcana cards of tarot. And here we go. So here's what I was talking about. This makes goosebumps sense. But everything else I don't really get. I'm not there yet. Besides the history related to Judaism, the Tree of Life is expressed in cultures from ancient Samaria to Persia and Iran, to Japan and China, the Aztecs, the Greeks, and the Celts. The Mayans have the world tree. In West Africa, it's the moringa, I'm not going to butcher, or the miracle tree. For the Egyptians, it's called the acacia tree. I have a whole thing on a connection with bees and the acacia trees, the olive trees, the little berry trees and bushes. I just came across that packet of information too, and so I think I'm going to go back to it because now it came up again. They have the dream tree, Caribbean, the coconut tree. The Norse have the Thor oak, the sacred tree of Uppsala. One of my favorites is Banya tree of India. I butcher words, I'm so sorry. So I love the way that this person is giving great explanation. The Tree of Life is truly, and I really connected, the Tree of Life is truly a universally understood symbol. Despite the bantering about Kabbalah in popular culture, few understand its depths. Attempting to do so through my work, and mine as well, personally, me, will be my next adventure. It is said to an attempt to move through the maze of Kabbalah alone and without proper training could lead to madness. My Terra project has trained me. I cannot resist. I just totally agree. Here is one tidbit of new information. The tree's roots are actually above, while the branches reach down to our below. My overall tree will reflect this. So just very deep thinking. I absolutely understand, but really what did it for me? I turned it away 2 years ago, but I watched Mark Passio's explanation. Took 6 hours, but it was perfect and its basis, because other people see it differently. And if you try and get too much sources of information, it won't make sense because it's kind of contradictory here and there. So I've done a lot of research knowing the differences, and this makes sense. And then I researched on my own, and then I went back and watched his video again, and also what is it, wisdom teachings or mystery teachings. I think it's wisdom teachings with this lovely lady, and then go back to that, and then it just kind of hit into place. So here's the Dalet, like, oh, look at this. 4 Dalet, Jupiter, Eden. So there's just more to it. I can't wait to someday delve into more of it. These are interesting articles that I don't want to forget about, and I want to have a look through because it's going to be really good information, and someone else did the hard work of collaborating information that's worth looking into to decipher for yourself. And I'm really excited about doing that, and I will forget. So if I put it on here, I will, especially if someone comments, then we could talk about it. Okay, but I'll catch you on the flip side. Ta-ta. Yeah, it's a good girl. My queen bee. Have you turned into a queen bee, my little princess?